What would you do if a well-dressed government official told you that the Eiffel Tower was being secretly sold for scrap metal? Would you question it? Or would you trust the documents, the authority, and the promise of profit? This is the true story of a man whose confidence was so powerful that he sold the Eiffel Tower twice and walked away without being caught. History has seen many thieves and tricksters, but only one man became famous for selling the Eiffel Tower, not once, but twice. His name was Victor Lustig. He was not a violent criminal. Instead, he used his intelligence, charm, and confidence to trick people. His story shows how easily people can be fooled when lies are told in a convincing way. Victor Lustig's life is a powerful example of how deception works. He did not rely on force or threats. He relied on people's trust, their desire for success, and their fear of embarrassment. Because of this, he was able to carry out one of the most shocking scams in history. Victor Lustig was born on January 4th, 1890, in a small town in what is now the Czech Republic. At that time, the area was part of Austria-Hungary. Very little is known about his childhood, because Lustig often lied about his past. What is known is that he was well educated and very intelligent. From a young age, Lustig learned how to speak well and behave like a rich and powerful man. He dressed neatly and spoke politely, which helped him gain people's trust. He could speak several languages and used many fake names during his life. These skills made it easy for him to move from place to place and avoid the police. Lustig realized early that people believe someone who looks confident and important. He used this knowledge to become a professional con artist. In the 1920s, Paris was still recovering from World War I. The Eiffel Tower was already famous around the world, but it was also old and expensive to maintain. Many newspapers talked about the high cost of repairs and the rust on the tower. Originally, the Eiffel Tower was built for a fair in 1889 and was not meant to stand forever. Some people believed it might one day be taken down. These rumors made it easier for people to believe that the government could sell the tower. Victor Lustig read these news stories carefully. He saw a chance to turn public doubt into a scam. Lustig created a bold plan. He pretended to be a French government official. He made fake government documents and used an official-sounding job title. Everything he showed looked real. He sent letters to several scrap metal dealers in Paris. In the letters, he said the government had secretly decided to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap metal because it was too expensive to maintain. He warned them to keep the plan secret to avoid public anger. Lustig invited the dealers to meet him at the Hotel de Crillon, one of the most expensive hotels in Paris. This made the meeting feel official and important. At the meeting, Lustig spoke calmly and confidently. He explained that the sale was a difficult but necessary government decision. He even took the dealers to see the Eiffel Tower, making the story feel real. Lustig watched the dealers carefully. He looked for someone who seemed unsure and eager to succeed. He chose a man named André Poisson, a scrap metal dealer who wanted to prove himself. Lustig privately told Poisson that government officials often expected bribes. This made the deal feel more believable. Poisson agreed to pay for the tower and the bribe. Poisson paid Victor Lustig a very large amount of money and received official-looking papers that said he now owned the Eiffel Tower. The documents appeared real, with stamps, signatures, and formal language. Poisson believed he had successfully won a secret government deal. Soon after the payment was made, Lustig quietly left Paris with the money and disappeared without a trace. At first, Poisson felt proud of his purchase. However, after some time passed, he began to realize that something was wrong. He tried to move forward with plans related to the tower, only to discover that no government office recognized his ownership. Slowly, the truth became clear. He had been completely tricked. Instead of going to the police, Poisson felt deep shame. The idea that he had believed he could buy the Eiffel Tower, one of the most famous monuments in the world, was humiliating. He feared being laughed at and judged by others. Because of this embarrassment, he chose to stay silent and never reported the crime. This decision, though understandable, had serious consequences. Poisson's silence allowed Victor Lustig to escape without any trouble. The police were never alerted, and the scam was never investigated. More importantly, Lustig realized that his plan had worked perfectly. He understood that people who fall for such tricks are often too ashamed to speak out. This realization gave him the confidence to attempt the scam again. Instead of hiding or leaving the country forever, Lustig returned to Paris and tried to sell the Eiffel Tower a second time. He used the same methods as before: fake government papers, official titles, and private meetings with scrap metal dealers. He again claimed that the government had secretly decided to sell the tower for scrap metal. This time, however, the outcome was different. One of the scrap dealers noticed problems in the story. The deal sounded suspicious, and some details did not match official government procedures. Unlike Poisson, this dealer chose not to stay silent. He contacted the police and reported the suspicious activity. When Lustig realized that the authorities were becoming involved, he acted quickly. He fled Paris before the police could arrest him. It is not clear whether he managed to collect any money during this second attempt. However, even the fact that he tried to sell the Eiffel Tower twice made his story legendary. It showed not only his confidence, but also his complete lack of fear. Selling the Eiffel Tower was only one part of Victor Lustig's criminal life. Long before this scam, he had already tricked many people using clever and creative schemes. One of his most famous tricks involved a machine he claimed could copy money. Lustig would show wealthy victims a special box and tell them it could produce exact copies of paper money. During demonstrations, he secretly placed real banknotes inside the machine, making it appear as though it worked. Convinced, the victims paid large sums of money to buy the machine. Only later did they discover that it produced nothing at all. By then, Lustig had already vanished. After fleeing Europe, Lustig moved to the United States. There, he continued his life of crime and even managed to trick one of the most dangerous men in America, the gangster Al Capone. Lustig convinced Capone to invest money in a fake business deal. He held on to the money for a short time and then returned it, claiming the deal had failed. Capone was surprised by Lustig's honesty and rewarded him for it. In reality, Lustig had planned the failure from the beginning. This scam worked because Lustig understood human psychology. He knew that returning the money would earn trust and respect, even from a criminal like Capone. Lustig's most serious crimes involved printing fake money. His counterfeiting operation produced large amounts of false currency, which caught the attention of the US government. The Secret Service made capturing him a top priority. In the 1930s, Lustig was finally arrested by US authorities. Even after his arrest, he tried to escape, showing that his confidence had not faded. However, his escape attempt failed, and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for counterfeiting and fraud. Much of his prison sentence was spent at Alcatraz, one of the most secure prisons in the United States. Alcatraz was reserved for criminals who were considered dangerous or difficult to control. Even there, Lustig remained calm, clever, and well-spoken. Over time, prison life took a toll on his health. He became weak and ill. On March 11, 1947, Victor Lustig died from pneumonia while still in prison. In a final twist of irony, his death certificate listed his occupation as salesman. Victor Lustig's story is remembered not just because of how clever his scams were, but because of the lessons they teach. His life shows how powerful confidence can be. People often trust those who speak well, dress well, and appear important. The story also highlights how shame can protect criminals. Because Poisson was too embarrassed to speak out, Lustig was able to escape and attempt the crime again. The man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice remains a symbol of how easily people can be deceived and why we should always question things that seem too unbelievable to be true.